Nothing that you currently own or lead ultimately will belong to you. Now, let me say it this way. You don't even own it now. It's not yours. You are rather a steward of some things that have been placed into your hands and that you have the duty to place into the hands of others. Let's get square with that. When we watch the lives of others, when people understand that the things that they have are not theirs, when people understand the skills, the gifts, the interests, the ideas, the dreams, the relationships, the resources, whatever is in the bucket of what has been placed into your hands, when people realize that those things aren't theirs possessively, but rather that those things are entrusted into their care, that they are stewards of those things, that sets in motion a way of thinking that is many, many times more productive. I'll illustrate it in a couple of ways to really unpack this in terms of point of view and posture. For example, we begin to realize, the people around me need to receive these things that are mine. Watch a manager who hands out assignments, but plays everything close to their vest in terms of why it's being done or how it was thought through or what's at stake. That's my need to know. You're on a need to know basis, and frankly, you don't need to know, so just do what I told you. When we watch managers behaving that way, they're possessing what they know, they're possessing the point of view they bring to the job, but they're not sharing, they're not stewarding it, they're not investing it in others. That team is not nearly as productive as the team in which the person in charge realizes that they are not in charge for themselves. And one of the things that one of my characters says in The Serving Leader is that we are in charge principally for the purpose of charging up others. And so when a leader understands that my authority is not mine, my office, my station, my title, it's not mine. It's not for me. I occupy it as a steward of it in order so that some other things can happen. Productivity goes up. It is a functional governing rule of how life works and how the universe is structured. When an owner thinks this company I'm building with its assets, with its balance sheet, is not fundamentally mine. Look at that balance sheet. When I started, that balance sheet was negative. I mortgaged the house and took 5, 6, 7 years till we started being profitable. And now that egg is mine. When the owner is thinking, that's mine, the growth, the productivity, the reinvestment is not nearly the same thing. When the owner is thinking, okay, I do need to care for this company. I need to have funds to get us through up and down cycles. And so there's a reserve that is sensible, but I have investable capital here and it's not for me. And I have to think about where's the market going and what are the tools my workers need and what is it that I could begin to do that would allow us to be even more productive or solve problems at a higher level. That owner behaves differently. And when they realize I'm steward of this balance sheet rather than the possessor, the company thrives better. It is a disciplined way of viewing ourselves and viewing our station in life that is critical to how we produce. And ultimately, when we get to the end of the company's growth trajectory that we planned, if we think, well, all of that value now is mine, let me cash it out. Certainly we set in motion a cash event for ourselves, and I have no judgment. But what we set in motion is the reduction of the ability of that enterprise we built to continue to add value to the world. I have a friend outside the U.S. in Southeast Asia who started his company with investors with the idea that they would grow this thing and they would scale this thing to a certain size. And he had some private equity there, and everybody was pretty excited because they saw that investment of X would turn into a return on investment at X exponentially multiplied, and they'd have a cash event, and they'd all, I guess, get their yacht or whatever it is that they were going to do. And at a certain point, my friend woke up to the fact that that isn't what he was supposed to do. It was a very rude but important awakening. And he realized, this company we're building isn't ours. And this company that we're building, what is a company? It's a creator of value. It's the instrumentation for getting people together to do things that are valuable. That's what it is. Oh, no, a company is a thing that exists to create profit. No, That is decisively no. A company does produce profit, but the purpose of a company is not to produce profit. The purpose of a company is to create the structural instrumentation to get people together, resources, disciplines, practices to do stuff that needs to be done in the world. That's why it exists. And profit is a byproduct. It'd be like saying that the purpose of my body is to pump blood. That's ridiculous. My body needs me to pump blood. My company needs profit. But the purpose of a company is not profit any more than the purpose of a human being is blood. Thinking about the metaphor of the body exists to serve, to strengthen, to save, to rescue, to love. We have a lot of things we need to do with our body that matter in the world, and that's the purpose of it. And the blood that pumps is not the purpose. And the profits that flow in our company, those things are not the purpose. And so my friend reached this point where he said, oh boy, I realize why this company exists. And, it doesn't exist to sell so that we can cash out. It exists for the things that we can serve by existing. And so he went back to his investors and had an honest conversation with them that there's not going to be a cash event, on a 10-year cycle or whatever they were thinking. That's what, many investors are thinking. What's your plan in? What's your plan up? What's your plan out? And he said, there's not going to be an out. And so, he squared up with them and said, if that's not okay with you, I respect it. And I'll cash you out now because I've changed my mind about why this thing exists. We, in fact, are not building this for ourselves is essentially where he ended up. This isn't ours. It's stewarded to us for purposes, and I've got to serve those purposes. So I'd like you to reflect on it as you look around your domains of ownership and ask yourself the question, what would it mean if I began to understand these as domains of stewardship? They're in my hands, but they're not mine. They are my responsibilities, but they're not my possessions. Ultimately, they won't be yours. Let's square up with that sooner. They already aren't yours. And I promise you, the more you get clear about that, the more that brings, I'm going to say, peace to you, the more that brings joy to you. Like, I'm not actually here for myself anyway. The old person who stares back at a life lived selfishly is not a happy person. So the more we square up with that, this isn't mine. This is in my hands. I'm steward of it. I have duties in it. The sooner we get clear about that, the sooner we can become more effective at leveraging what's been placed in our hands more effectively, more productively, more fruitfully, more impactfully in service to others. You are steward. You are not owner. And that's the case for yourself, your life, your family, the things you own, the enterprises you lead, the teams that you're in charge of. You're steward. And I encourage you to think that way because the impact of you multiplies the more we get clear that these things are in your hands for purposes that are beyond the service of you.
For more information about the Center for Serving Leadership, visit our website at centerforservingleadership.com.